Hi, I'm Jalen Rose, and welcome to the Renaissance Man podcast, proudly presented by the New York Post, a show, as you know, where we cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events, education, and everything in between. Our next guest is an educator, public speaker, social worker, founder of Capital Prep Schools. He has also advised Oprah, P. Diddy, Steve Harvey, and myself, and many, many, many more on the best educational routes for our children. I've learned so much from watching you, and I'm very grateful that you joined the show. I'm honored to welcome my brother, Dr. Steve Perry.
I had to tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity to again rap with you. You don't know how long, like when I was in school and I was thinking of what I could be, I saw these badass brothers out in the Midwest and I was like, that.
That's
I don't know
love.
what that looks like for a career, but that's what I want. That's what I
love.
want. And here we are. You long shorts and all. Y'all, I still got long shorts on. I won't put short ones on because just to ode to the Fab Five. Love you, brother, sincerely.
I love you too. And as you know, I always reach out to you constantly for advice. You are one of the major people that inspired me that JRLA can be something that actually came to fruition. But when for you did you realize how vital a good education is?
I grew up in public housing. I was born on my mother's 16th birthday. My father was in prison by the time I was 18 years old. I would say finally. He's the point at which they got to come get you. But
Wow.
and I was bad at school. I wasn't really good at it. I remember the first time somebody in college called me intellectual. I was like, yo, say it again. Because I thought they were, I swear, like I honestly swear, I thought that they were being disrespectful to me because I thought they were like calling me white or something. Because no one had ever spoken to me like that. I always thought that I was unintelligent. And I was in Upward Bound when I was in high school. And that's a program that works with low-income students who are gonna be the first in their family to get a college degree. And in my case, they sent us to this Hoods in the Woods program where they send you out and they like scare you into like, this could be your life if you don't get your life right thing. And it wasn't because I was a bad kid, it was because I was in a situation where a lot of people thought the kids around us were bad. And I didn't know the education necessarily, if I'm gonna be really real, was the way out. I just knew that every other route seemed to lead back in. So every other thing that everybody else was doing seemed like there was no viable, like it didn't seem like it was going to end well. And sadly, for pretty much everybody else in the project that I grew up in, it didn't.
So we see you now, suited and booted, keep a fresh cut, about your style, about your intellect. But you mentioned you started in public housing. What was that upbringing like?
My mother raised me. She did everything she could. I'm in her high school graduation picture. Like she's holding me.
Wow.
I went to her graduation.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I hated being broke. I just hated it. I hated when we would go to the grocery store and the conversation that we would have in the car about what you can't get and what you shouldn't touch and why you shouldn't touch it. I hated that, man. Like I just hated it. And then I grew up in what would be considered an integrated community. So I was very aware, though not jet black, that I definitely wasn't white enough. And it wasn't going to happen for me. So I really just wanted to do something. My mother was I don't know if she was the president or the vice president of the tennis association. I say because there's only two people in it and she was one of them. But I remember them taking me to meetings with them, fighting for things that seemed, even as a child, that it didn't seem like we should be fighting for. Like in Connecticut, it gets cold, as you might have heard. And so you'd have to pay your own oil. But back in the 70s, you couldn't go to the bank on the weekends, and there were no ATM machines, and so they wouldn't give us credit. Like you couldn't buy it on credit, so we would just spend a weekend with no heat, which is not the business. It's not how you want to do it. So I just felt like I wanted to do something, and ultimately, what ended up happening was the most radical thing I could do was to give access to education to Black and Latin kids, the very people for whom the system was designed to never give them access. And then, I also thought that one of the ways to do it was to not look like people thought I was going to look.
Correct.
So for me, I wore a tie to school in high school because I wanted to. Because to me, I was going to play with your head. You know where I come from, but you don't know where I'm going.
Exactly.
So I had a tie on, and my mother was the queen of Marshalls, like Marshalls and TJ Maxx. I mean, she'd be crawling on the floor underneath. So if it said Polo here, it had a rip down here.
No doubt.
It had a stain. Let me tell you. So remember when the champion turtlenecks came out?
Yes.
So I had a champion pair of shorts. I popped the champion off. I sewed it up there, and I was rocking the champions. That
move right there.
Right.
That move had to be industrious when you were broke, and we have so many things in common, as you just described, because I know what it's like to boil water to wash up, and I know what it's like to eat smelts. And you remember liverwurst and having those conversations with my mom, counting everything and rounding it up so you don't get embarrassed when you get to the front of the line when you have the food stamps and you looking crazy because you can't purchase everything. So as you started to know that education was your way out, when did you start to realize that you were taking it more serious than everybody else?
So when I got into, I loved sports. And locally I was good enough to, win state championship, but I wasn't you. And so, at 5'9" at the time, 145 pounds, it wasn't going to happen for me. It just wasn't going to happen for me. And the other alternatives were hustling. And let me be clear, mine wasn't a moral issue as to why I didn't hustle. If I'm just be completely because it's me and you.
That's what we need. They need to hear me and you have these conversations.
It wasn't a moral issue. I wasn't slinging dope because it was effing cold outside. Instead,
you gotta want to stand on the block. You gotta really want to do that.
You do. And so standing outside was just not the business. I couldn't reconcile that. And I was too small and light-skinned to go to prison. Like, this was not gonna go well for me.
No.
I was against that. All the roads that led that way for me, I was on a crumbling cliff, bro. Like it wasn't whether or not I jumped. It was either fall or jump. But the cliff was gone. Like it was when I left for school, my mother finally could get up out of projects. Like it was finally a thing that she could do. Not initially, but a couple of years into my college. There's I can't stay at my mother's spot now. Like ain't enough room for me and a dog.
Correct.
So, for me, it started to, my mind was about, I want to do the thing that you say I can't do. So my first semester in college, I remember by the Thursday of my first week thinking, oh shoot, I used everything I learned. I'm in trouble now. I'm hit. Like I'm legit in trouble. And my whole goal was, if I don't fail out this first semester, y'all gonna have a problem on your hands. Because if you don't knock me out in this first round, it's a wrap for you.
Yes.
It's a wrap for you. So the competitiveness that I had as an athlete, somebody who just always overperformed, was undersized, who was, captain of the team, though everybody knows I wasn't the best player. Like, let me be clear, I just knew I wasn't the best. But I would bust your ass. Like if we would just fight all day, your hands would bleed from beating me up more than my will to stop getting beaten up. So I might walk out all lumped up. You might be like, forget it, man. I'm tired of fighting you. See, beat you. Like for me, it was about finding a way to win. And so when I finally started, the grades started to come in, I started thinking that maybe this thing could work for me. But I thought I was gonna be a politician. I thought I was gonna come back to my community and run for office and lead that way. I did run for office at 26 years old. It just wasn't for me. Like when I finally did it, I thought, this is stupid. Like, what a dumb way to make a living. Who does this?
Right. And there are people that do it for a living, and we'll get to them at some point because, matter of fact, let's go there now. Since you mentioned politics, right? How political, and again, as the founder of a charter high school, they hear me tell these stories all of the time. So I'm so very happy to have you on because a lot of times people think that my opinion is political when my opinion is really financial. Like I understand the quality of a young person's education is defined by their zip code. And I know that there are laws that are being made to make sure that that still happens. So how are you politically in the fight to bridge the education gap?
I'm gonna break something down to you real quick. If Black and Latin people who are politicians right now wanted to change the way education occurs in the United States of America, they absolutely could. There are enough Black and Latin people in most of the states and cities that we are in large numbers that they could be the tip of the spear to transform education as we know it. However, too many Black and Latin people go into politics poor, meaning they don't have their own money. And I mean that they really don't have their own money.
Right.
So what they do is they go in as Democrats, and the Democrats are just the unions, and the unions tell them what to do, and they do what they're told to do, almost unilaterally. And so one of the things that the unions, the teachers union in particular, which is an overwhelmingly white, at least 85% white and overwhelmingly female group of people, they tell the Black and Latin politicians what to say, when to say it, how to say it. And one of the things that they tell them to say is that they are for quote unquote public education, which they dress this pig up and call it a prom queen because it's not the public education. It is something that's been privatized by the teachers union itself, meaning these white women, for the most part, who live in the suburbs, for the most part, benefit completely off of the backs of Black and Latin children. And so what ends up happening with many of the Black and Latin politicians is they don't trip over whether or not their brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews and cousins in them as a group, they're the ones who come to the cookout with the paper plate and the aluminum foil before they get there.
No
the
question.
Cousins in them, they're not concerned about them as much as they are their own children. They take their own kids, put them in schools of choice. They take their own kids, call people like you and me, yo, doc, can I holler at you for a second? My son's on your waiting list. Is he really now? Wow, that sucks. How'd that happen? Because if you just lifted the charter cap and gave me more seats, not only would your son not be on the waiting list, but nobody's kid will be on a waiting list. Correct. So you have to call a spade a spade. And the problem that we're faced with is simply this. One of the basketball coaches that we have at one of our schools said to me last week, he said, they're still trying to figure out what you did up here in Hartford, like how you did it, like how you got these scores, how you did these things. And I said to him, you know what? I do not understand. I'm going to be naive for a moment. I do not understand what the beef is with me. Like, I don't get it. And he said, because you tried to solve a problem that people didn't want to solve. And Correct. That's why we're here. We're here because people of all colors, and in many cases, supposed to be friends of ours, are very comfortable with Black children and Latin children not be able to read, write, and compute, period. And they're comfortable with that. So when they hear you, Jalen Rose, if you were just Fat Five, if you were just an athlete, if you were just talking about sports and you just knew your stuff, they would just love you, like only.
Yes.
But how dare you do the most vile thing, which is to break the slave codes and teach Black and Latin kids to read? How dare you? How dare you? Who do you think you are? You think you're human like they are? You think your kids are smart? How dare you?
I love you, brother. And this ride can be turbulent. Being the founder of a school, open enrollment, tuition free, public charter, 9 through 16 model. We influencing young people from their freshman year in high school, have 400 plus now, have another 600 in secondary education. And I really get frustrated when I hear those conversations being had by people who didn't go to a public school,
ever
don't have kids in a public school
and won't.
And purposely make sure that they won't, because they know that the public school isn't equal.
Let me take it one step further. If just the brothers in the NBA told the truth, how many brothers in the National Basketball Association went to their neighborhood high school? I'll wait.
Correct. And that started with HBCUs in the 60s and 70s, taking inner city players and black players, and now they start sending them to universities. And then when you get to high school, it's the same thing. Pluck the kid from the inner city, take him to the suburban school, give him a scholarship. Oh, take this kid from Detroit, fly him across the country to a prep school, make sure he's taken care of or she's taken care of, and they can go to school. So it's like, we will support you when you can entertain us.
Always. And that's the point. As long as we stand up on that block and they can open up our teeth and show them, and they can lift our arms and show how strong we are, and they can treat us like the slaves that they want us to be, they don't mind you being a dumb jock. Oh my God. They need you to be a dumb jock. One of the many things I've respected about you from the time that I saw you first, and every time I've spoken to you since then, is that you refuse to let them do that to you.
Correct.
They want to. Oh, brother, they got it, because they got to call you dumb. One of it was so funny to me is when people disagree with me, you ain't even a doctor. Okay. They were, because it's like, you're not even a doctor.
Right.
Like,
something.
And so if you look at the NBA, NFL, none of those brothers went to their neighborhood schools. None. And we think that that's perfectly fine. We think it's perfectly fine to send all these kids literally all over the country, hundreds, thousands of miles away from their families, just so they can run and catch a ball.
Yes.
But if that child wants to go to a STEM school in the next town, in the next district, in the same town, it's like, whoa. So you mean that this woman who is largely white and from the suburbs is going to lose her job? No, bring your black ass back here. Come back. Sit right here.
Correct.
Sit right here.
And we're the highest donors to your party. So we got both of your ears. And for you, I'm pretty sure that led to you feeling like, I'm going to be the founder of my own school, Capital Prep. What made you decide, obviously, to create your own school? And is it highly competitive to get in?
So the first thing is, we started the Upper Bound program, a part-time out of school program. And what was happening, I'll tell you really quickly. What was happening was I would work with the kids over the summer, prepping them for the upcoming year. So if, like, say they were taking algebra in the fall, they would take algebra during the summer for 6 weeks. And what was happening was, this particular suburban town, every time I would send my kids back to their neighborhood school, what I found was they ended up in this particular class called extended algebra. The town is Windsor, Connecticut. And they kept ending up in this extended algebra class, which, and I'm just going to explain to you really quickly, it was 3 semesters of algebra, which meant that they would go their first full year taking algebra, then they would go into their sophomore year taking algebra, they would take their second semester sophomore year of math off, and they would come back in their junior year and start extended geometry, which meant by the time they were taking the SAT, they didn't have the requisite math that they needed. So I would ask people in the school, hey, what did my kids do to end up in this extended algebra? Because I had them during the summer and I don't understand what they did. All my kids were poor, all my kids were black or Latino, and they kept ending up in this class. And I didn't know if they had failed a test or something. And so I came and I just came on the humble. Hey, can you just explain to me? Because I want to fix it. So then I hired one of their teachers from that school to teach the class the previous summer, thinking, I got you this time. And then what I'll do is I'm going to take your books and I'm going to teach them from your textbooks with your teacher. Same thing happened. So I went back to the school system and I said to them this time, it was the second year in a row, I said, why are my kids in these classes? And they said, well, give us the list of your kids and we'll take them out of the classes. I said, no. Mine are coming out.
Correct.
But the problem is they keep ending up in these classes. And what I recognize is, if nothing else, I could suck as bad as they do. But what if I'm right? What if I'm right that Black and Latin kids are as intelligent, if not more intelligent, than any group of children in the world? What if kids who've been starved of education were given an education? What would happen? What would happen? Within 2 years, we were U.S. News and World Report top performer high school. Within 2 years of opening, 1 year, and then the next year on the list.
And that's crazy, because I remember sitting back and watching CNN at the time, and I told you this story, and just truly being inspired by the fact that you were the founder of the school and the bus driver. Like, normally that's 10 different people to get from point A to point B, to have that discipline, have that love, have that commitment. So you describe showing up on the humble, right? Showing up, passionate, caring. What's missing in our educational system?
They don't love our kids. It's really simple. It doesn't take much. You know, it was so weird to me about when we did Black in America too. Soledad said, we want to follow you when you're picking kids up. I said, why would you want to do that? That's boring. They're going to be grumpy. It's early in the morning, and they're not going to want to talk to you. They're high school kids. Right. Like, they don't want to talk to anyone.
Correct.
Like, our ride in with 3 smelly boys in the car is quiet. So you don't want to be in that car. Correct. And it stinks. And I said, no, we want you to. I said, well, I don't understand why you want to do that. Because real talk, I thought everyone did that. I didn't know. I didn't know you weren't supposed to. Like, for me, and I'm not going to put anybody on blast, but I had kids who had some academic challenges up to that point. Sorry about that.
No trip.
I had some kids who had some academic challenges up to that point, and how was I going to fix it? Got to get them to school early. We got to get these reps in.
Correct.
And so when you saw someone like Andre Drummond squeezing his big behind in the back of the car,
yes.
And Andre will tell you this. Andre sucked in his freshman year in high school. Like, his first 4 games, he had 1 point. First time he went to dunk, he fell on his back. He fell on his back. He wasn't even, his people who were close to him were not even going to bring him with them for the AAU during the summer. So he came to us, this new school, and I told his mother, I will treat him as my own. You can rest assured that I will treat him as my own. And I remember having a conversation with him and saying, son, I don't know if this basketball thing is going to work for you. Like, let's be honest. It may not. I just tightened him up before his first scrimmage. I cut his, I shaped him up, put him out there. Like, go ahead, son, do your thing. He went to dunk, boom, fell on his back. I was saying, please get up, son. Please get up, please get up, please get up. It was not because I thought he was going to be a Laker.
Right.
It's because I knew that he's a beautiful young man who deserves the opportunity to be whatever God makes him to be. And I wasn't going to let anything academically or otherwise stand in the way of that. It just seemed to me like, Jalen, and I know you understand this, I don't understand how people can meet our children, not fall madly in love with them.
Preach.
Like, I don't understand how you could see that little girl walking. Yes, she stank. Yes, she got a funky little attitude. And you like, it is 7:30. You walked here by your damn self. Like, who are you mad at? Like, you ain't even talking to nobody here. But when you say to her, hey, beautiful, how's your day going?
Yes.
And then this young brother, big as a house, standing next to you. Like, why are you standing next to me? I ain't standing next to you. You stand next to me. You want me to hug you, don't you? I don't want to touch you. You better not touch me. You better not touch me. I'll touch you if I want to touch you. I don't understand how you could see those faces, those beautiful, amazing faces, and ever feel like doing anything but like opening your chest up and giving them everything you have. I don't understand. And I just don't understand it. Like, I don't have I don't get it. I don't get it.
I so agree. And that's why I'm committed to do the work that I do in the community, the zip code 48235 that I grew up in. And just so you know, let me show you how you planting a seed influences people that you may never realize. Andre Drummond happens to get drafted by my hometown team. He not only becomes a supporter of JRLA, so do the Detroit Pistons. And you mentioned as a Los Angeles Laker, he's been with 2 teams since then. He and his mom continue to support our school, even though he no longer plays for the Detroit Pistons. So a young man that you made sacrifices for, your time, your energy, and cut his hair. Like, so you a barber? So do you cut your own hair? Like,
yes.
People see me with a cut and they talk about it all of the time. It's a conversation piece, but I've never cut my hair. Jawan Howard cut his hair. You cut your own hair?
Yeah, it's not tight today, but yeah.
What? This is a revelation for somebody that keeps a crisp cut. How did this start?
It started just like everything else in my life. Somebody told me I couldn't do it. So I didn't have, it goes back to being broke. I needed a haircut. My grandfather had those the shaver. Remember back in old school, they used to like just cut the edge off. So I did that and I said, okay, this I could do it. And so I started now keep in mind, I busted my head a bunch of times. I used my mother's eyeliner more than a few times. That was before people used to use the black. I color my joint in more than a few times.
OG move. People talk about me rocking, and I'm like, talk to me when you get almost 50. That little sprinkle that I gotta use, it ain't no big deal. I promise you.
That was 84. I was coloring it in. So from there, and then when I got to school again, broke. I went to the University of Rhode Island, so wasn't nothing but a bunch of black athletes and white people with no barbers. So I charged everybody $4 a head. So if you saw the Rhode Island Rams play from 88 to 92, that was me. That was me. The whole team. And then I used to cut stuff in my head. Like I used to cut like whatever the song was, like Poison, BBD. So I did BBD on one side. I did Skull and Crossbones on the back. I mean, it was because I was on my hustle, like, right? So I had to let me know if you needed cut, I could do it. And so for me, it was just a way to do it. But yeah, I had to keep it tight. And since then, I've been doing it. I've had my hair cut. I'm 51. I'll be 52 this summer. I've had my hair cut by someone other than me since 1984, including my senior prom, 5-6 times.
This is incredible. I cannot believe the name of this episode is Each One Teach One, and you just blew my mind with that. I've never considered cutting my own hair, never thought about it, and you do it and keep it crisp.
Yeah, because it was a necessity. And then what happens is the regularity, like this is my routine. So on Sunday night, I cut my younger son's hair and mine. So I cut his first and I cut mine.
That's dope.
And then and my oldest son, he's too pretty. I can't mess with his. Like it's just too much. Like I'm not.
You sound like me.
Yeah. And so there were brothers like you on campus too. And it's like I'm not cutting your hair while you're looking in the mirror. Like I'm not doing that. Like we're not gonna do that. So I'm gonna turn your black behind around and I'm gonna cut your hair and I'm gonna turn you back around. But if I gotta sit there and wait, I'm gonna hand you the clippers and I'm gonna step back. So my oldest son, I don't cut his hair anymore because I'm tired. Like it gets to the point where he's like, this is not straight, man. Get out my face. So, but I cut my younger son's hair and I usually cut mine. But Sunday night we were trying to watch that Jake Paul thing. Logan Paul, yeah. Floyd Mayweather thing. And whatever, the internet wasn't working. I wasn't trying to watch it. They were trying to watch it, but I didn't cut his hair on Sunday night. So I didn't cut his, I didn't cut mine. But yes, this is a overgrowth.
And what I want to make sure people really understand is how you come from humble beginnings and you continue to refer back to how you have survival skills. Like that's extremely important. And us in position of leaders, so many times young people believe that they may have one job forever, or one hustle forever. Like you're going to have to constantly reinvent yourself more than the seasons. So for parents and for young people, like what advice do you have in that area?
Don't be so arrogant as to think that you got it figured out. Recognize, I'm gonna take a step back. The last time I worked for someone other than myself was in 1998 when I got fired from a job, and I had run for state representative, like I told you.
1 second.
And I spoken about the
Dr. Perry. Can you hold on 1 second? You're starting to go in and out. I didn't want you to lose your story because you're starting to break up.
Hold on, let me just check again and see what the
No problem. Take your time. It's just, I knew it's been.
No, I got you.
It's been so good so far. I'm like, I don't want to lose the story.
10 minutes, I'll have you out of here. I got like
no. I'm good. It's less to me. I'm cooking salmon.
All right, I'm gonna mute my mic in 3, 2, 1.
So, in the last time I worked for someone other than me was in 1998. I lost a job. I got fired from a job at a university in part because I wanted and can't really say that when you work there. So There's that. I'm not mad at them. I've done the same thing. Whatever. It hurt my feelings. So I started a not-for-profit organization, and the not-for-profit organization became the schools. And then it became another school. And now we're at 6 and growing. So in between that time, I've written books. One behind me. I've written multiple books. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life alignment, meaning all the things you do must feed into the others, and they must build upon the others. And so if you marry somebody, she's got to rock with you in this particular space. When you have kids, they got to understand daddy's got to go to work. This is what daddy does. This is the family business. And you have to find things that align with who you are. And so for me, the hustle is, I have been broke. And 2005, when we started Capital Prep, I'm gonna tell you a real story. In 2005, when we started Capital Prep, I had to take a test to become a principal. Right? I was about to say take a test to become an MC, but to become a principal. And the test cost $100 in 2005. I didn't have $100 in the bank. I didn't have $100 in the bank to take the test to become a principal in 2005. So I've been broke, and I'm not going to be broke again. And so for me, it's constantly on the hustle. I can tell you, I'm looking at property in Puerto Rico right now. I mean, I'm grinding, brother. I'm grinding.
It don't stop. It don't stop. And also you've advised. Yeah, and also, and this is amazing. You have so many hours in the day. You've also advised a few celebrity parents and mentors like Diddy and Oprah and Steve Harvey, as I mentioned, to name a few, and how they can gain control of education of their own children, and that's unique in itself. So how did you fall into be a celebrity education consultant? And can you tell us any insight that you give them?
So I'll say this. I don't even understand any of this visibility stuff still. I mean, I went to social work school to come back and help my community out like you did. You came back to your community, I came back to my community. I wasn't a world-class athlete like you were, but the intent was the same. And I happened upon this. It's not something I've sought. It's always funny to me when people come to me and they say things like, yo, I want to be like you. Like, I want to get out there and speak it. Bruh, you don't understand. Like, if you had seen me today, bow tied up and doing what I do, it was 92 degrees in Harlem today. Do you understand how I was sweating through my suit? That's why I don't have my suit on right now, because I was obliterated.
Right.
Checking on a new building that we're building. I mean, how did I get to do it? I think when people call me, they recognize I'm coming to them from a place of of empathy. I think the only people who think that they're amazing parents are bad parents. Everyone who is doing it right thinks they suck. Everyone thinks that they should, or like they're questioning, should I beat his ass, or should I have sent him to his room, or should I curse at him, or shouldn't I curse at him? Who knows, right? You don't know. You don't, but the risk is so significant that you don't want to be wrong. And so regardless of who the people are, whether we know them or people don't, I can think of someone who is really well known who reached out. Their child had gotten in trouble. It wasn't one of the people you mentioned. That's why I can tell the story. A child had gotten in trouble. And they reached out to me and they asked me, could I come down and rap to him? And I did. When all this lights are turned off, you're just a scared parent.
Right.
That's it. Just a scared parent. Everything doesn't turn into prison, but some things can turn into permanent bad decisions. And so what I don't come to people as some sort of guru, I just trips me out, man. The internet is full of people who just know everything. They know everything.
Keyboard geniuses.
Oh my God, yeah. That's a brilliant phrasing of it. Thumb gangsters. Like they just I've met some of them in person. Like, wow. Yeah, I stay in the gym, bro.
Interesting. You've met some of your trolls?
I met one.
That's interesting.
Corny behind. yeah, but it's so funny. I laugh at the fact, like, are you really writing articles about me? Like, you care that much about me? That's so awesome. Like, that's really great. You're a fan. Look at you, Stan. Like,
right. Correct. When I'm just trying to do the right thing. When I'm just trying to do the right thing, and you know it. And this is the other thing I want to ask you. So, like, as a parent, like right now during the pandemic, is a big debate about learning loss. Do you think this is a real problem? Because clearly it is. And if so, as parents, how do we combat this?
We're in trouble, Jalen. This is the only way there's not learning loss is if your child went to a school where he wasn't being taught at all. So I'm going to say this specifically to Black and Latin parents, but in general, parents. The same amount of research that you put into redecorating your house or buying a car or anything that you going on vacation, put that amount of research into what you need to do to support your child. The same devices that you use to buy a new pair of shoes or to go out to dinner, use that same amount of time to support your child. We are going to spend, you and I are going to spend the rest of our career, mark my words, 70 years old, you and I are going to be like trading places, sitting on a beach somewhere, looking good, Winthorpe, feeling good, like, right? So we're gonna be on the beach, and we're gonna spend the rest of our career trying to correct what the teachers unions have done in conjunction with the CDC to our children. We will spend the next 20 years literally trying to undo this. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
So how important are grades? You know, like as parents, should we be asking them what are they learning? Like, we always ask them to see their report card or their progress report.
That's a great point. So one of our problems is, first, most of the people who are grading our children don't really know what an A is anyway. Like, we don't want to have that honest conversation. But one of the things that COVID has shown us is that we looked in some of these classrooms, we think, that's what you're teaching? Oh, dog. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Right. Parents actually looking at the computer screen like, hold on. That's what you've been learning?
Yeah. So you do want to ask your children what they've learned. You do want to talk to them about what they've learned. And you want to engage in a dialogue, in part because of the learning, but really, these are your kids that you have to build a relationship with. You want them to come home and tell you what the teacher did or didn't do. You do.
Yes, you do. You definitely do.
You do. Especially if you go to my schools. Like if you do, my sons go to our schools as well. Well, the oldest is in college now, but the
The
youngest,
ultimate endorsement.
yeah, I wouldn't do it any other way. I think that's just mad corny. Like if you don't send your kids to your school, you're whack.
Our principal, Wendy Lewis at JRLA, her son also goes to our school. He's a senior.
And let me just be clear, it is humbling because my youngest son pushes the envelope. And so more than my share of phone calls from people whose checks I sign about his behavior.
Of course. Of course.
So it's humbling. It's
Call being a high school kid.
It is. And what it also does is it shows me where the strengths and the weaknesses in our model are. It does. So, we have to ask our kids what they've learned, and we have to engage with them because we have to let them know that we love them. And that's a way that we let them know that we love them. Just because they're teenagers doesn't mean they don't want to talk to you. They just don't want to talk to you about a lot of things you want to talk about.
Do you think Biden's going to keep his promise about the forgiving federal student loans? That would be so major for the young people that we influence.
So I don't know how he can, because I don't know how you pay for it. I don't know. I don't even know what that costs.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that if you are a teacher and you work in a Title I district, you can have them forgiven. And so there are other programs like that. I would like to see, if I'm being really honest, I would like to see an extension of a program like that. So we'll forgive it if you give something back to the hood. Like if you will commit your services, and it doesn't have to be any particular field. You could be an accountant, but if you'll be an accountant in the hood, then we'll put you on and we'll take care of your fees. Like for me, right. So for me, giving middle class people free college doesn't move me. Because that's mostly who went to college anyway. Like if we're going to be really honest, with the exception of a couple of schools like yours and mine that send kids to school, for the most part, ain't nobody else going from the hood. They're just not. The adult literacy rate in Hartford, Connecticut, we opened our first school, is 40%. And one time I spoke in Memphis, a third or 66% of the adults in Memphis are, call it illiterate because not illiterate, but they couldn't read an article from Yahoo or Sports Illustrated or something like that and give you the details at the level that you would expect. They could read words, but in terms of putting it all together, it would take a long time for them to read it. And it would, in addition to taking a long time for them to read it, would take a lot for them to understand what they read. The reason I say that is because I would rather say to young people, let's create a homegrown Peace Corps where we will pay for your student loans if you will come back to the hood and use whatever skills you have. Like, let me just be really clear. I don't care what your skills are. If you go to law school and you represent the poor,
I like that.
We will pay for that. If you go to med school and you will work in a hospital that serves the poor, then we will take care of your med school. Like for me, then it makes it worthwhile, because again, paying for middle class people, I don't care what color they are, to go to school, but then not bringing people up behind you. That's not fresh. Like that doesn't get us there. Actually, what it actually does, it actually opens up the wealth gap, because now you put people on, they're in college, they got that degree, and now the real separation is going to start happening. Because if you don't have student loans, you can do whatever you want to do after you get out of college. I mean, I paid off my last student loan last summer.
Right. That's a real anchor. That's why I brought it up. That's a real thing. And I paid attention to that in high school. That's why I'm going to take care of my grades. I'm going to be on an honor roll. I ain't trying to be a dumb jock. And again, I appreciate you and everything that you do. Like, you're a treasure, and we must protect Dr. Steve Perry at all costs. But before I let you get out of here, I have a rapid fire segment called Gone in 60 Seconds. You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Where do you like to shop? Because as I mentioned, you stay fly for a suit.
So my guy, Romney, I got a guy. He and I work together. We've been working together for a decade, and we go hard. I think his kids went to private school because of me.
That's love. That's love. And rightfully so, because he keep you crispy. Who's your favorite fictional teacher?
I mean, well, it's not fictional, but I can't watch Lean on Me without getting hyped.
Yes.
Like, I can't watch you. I can't watch
Where's
it
my
because
bat?
right. I can't watch it because I'm too emotionally connected to it now. At this point, I know it too much. Like it means too much to me.
I'm gonna have to watch that tonight. That's such a classic. Seersucker or Pinstripes?
So I was in Barcelona and I found this chalk line pinstripe that I love, but there is nothing better than a seersucker. Like seersucker, you come into any summer soiree with a seersucker of any color. You could go from lime, to a light pastel. Any way those stripes come through, game over. Game over.
Agreed. I'm gonna have to rock that. What is the most essential item every teacher should have?
Love.
Absolutely. That level of commitment is young people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And love is that when you're dealing with young people and not just trying to educate them, but trying to allow them to feel like they can trust you and believe in you. So in an alternate universe, if you had to pick another career, what would it be?
To be completely honest with you, that would be the hardest question that I ask. I honestly believe I am having a time of my life. I wake up to go downstairs and work out, and all I'm thinking about is I can't wait to get to work. Like I feel like I'm shot out of a cannon, man. I would really have to work it out. I guess I would be the 6th, 7th member of New Edition.
Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, and Bobby. I was mad at him
And
when he
Johnny.
joined the group because Johnny. When Bobby left and then Johnny joined, I can't front. I was mad at Johnny for years. I took it out on him.
We all were. Look, like I was mad at Grant Hill. Like I could for years. Right. Like I don't know him. And he just seemed like a lovely brother and like everything that if you had a son that you want your son to be. Like
absolutely.
But he was against Shaw. Like I just was like, yeah, I can't. Like I'm sorry, love. Bro. Like I can't. And you rock with Christian, and like that's not like the Fab Five. The Fab Five are me. Fab Five are me. Like they speak to me. I didn't know what Michigan was when y'all went there, but I damn sure wanted to be there. It was Mecca for me. Like it was just God. Like so. The way we felt about Johnny, who by the way now is a friend, is
and the a legend, way, and probably in so many Hall of Fames.
Right. But for me, I guess I'd be the 7th member of New Edition. I would actually put them back. You know what I would do is I would have them in here in my little thing here. And we would have a conversation and I would have an exorcism so they could get it right. Because there's no reason why these cats shouldn't be like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Like,
I agree.
There's no reason why they should ever come off the road. Like they should always be.
Forever. Like, they honestly, can do versus each other. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
WuTang Clan. I got you, family. You seen the WuTang Clan do it. Ray and Meth did it.
Right. That would be.
Ray and Ghost did it. And then Meth did it with Red.
Yeah.
Like they can do it. We might get a Jizza battle. Like,
look. Stay there for a second because you are on it. Like maybe we get them together by making them go against each other.
There you go.
Who do you think wins though?
Ooh, I say individually. Ooh, I gotta go with Bobby.
You think he can keep it together the whole time? Because his stamina.
Yeah. Well, each person has adopted their own, way to perform to make themselves comfortable. You know what I mean? When we saw Patti LaBelle do it, they were sitting there chilling, you know what I'm saying? Cooking, giving us, love. And so I think he can pull it off. But
if you're talking about discology,
we got to get him there.
But right, if you're talking about discology, there's not even a competition. Like Bobby done. We're done. Ralph T loved him. Johnny killed it. But if I'm putting my money on who's gonna take it, it's BBD. They come
Michael
to play.
Bivens. You can't bet against Mike.
You can't.
He the brains
He's
of the
gonna
operation.
train for it. He's gonna train for it.
He is.
Train for it.
Correct.
And then it's a wrap.
Correct. He gonna be actually doing the dance moves now. He gonna make sure the choreography right. He gonna make sure the notes right. They gonna be at the sound check. He gonna be like, y'all ain't embarrassing me. We're about to go out here and crush it. So I like what you did there. And when they hit that poison, people gonna be like, we heard that before. And it's like, oh, it sounds like every song has been remade 100 times over and over again.
But what he's gonna do is Michael is gonna get everybody so focused. He's gonna take poison and he's gonna send it out. They're gonna go 12-inch on you. They're gonna, it's good night, Irene.
So y'all
and then he's gonna finish with I thought it was me.
Y'all heard it here first. We just not only put New Edition back together, we did it via a versus battle. So I'm going to have to reach out to Swiss. One of us can get in contact with Timberland. We got to find a way to make this work. And before I let you go, it's been a tumultuous year for a lot of young people. They've dealt with a lot of turbulence, but they found a way, whether via Zoom, wearing masks, to graduate. They found a way to make it to the finish line. So lastly, what is your one piece of advice for the class of 2021?
Go humble, go hard. You have to respect the game. The world has a way of teaching you, and you could come on the humble with really quick. Every religion prays one way or another, but they all pray with hands up or hands clasped, but mouths shut, heads down, prone, kneeling, bowed.
Humble.
It is because, and every single leader in a religion, the name that they use, imam, rabbi, pastor, preacher, are all synonyms for teacher. And they say that the way is through the word in all. It's through the word, and the word will give you enlightenment. But in order to be enlightened, you have to acknowledge the dark, meaning that which you don't know. What you don't know, no matter the religion. We don't have to believe in religion, but the process of learning requires humility. And if you will do that, then it'll light the way, whatever it is that you believe in. So stay humble, stay hungry, go hard.
Love and light, my brother. Forever grateful for your influence, not only to me personally and professionally, but to so many others. And I know your journey, just like mine, is just getting started. And we will be changing as many things as we can to help influence our community and our people. So I love you, my brother. Thanks again, Dr. Steve Perry, for joining me.
Thank you, Jalen.